Welcome to Meta Elevate and our new video series, Ahead of the Curve. Elevate is committed to accelerate how Black, Latinx, and Hispanic business owners succeed and thrive. Now, many of you in our Elevate community ask, how do I grow my business using the best digital tools and resources? Well, through this series, we're going to bring you the top entrepreneurs and influencers and experts from our very own Elevate community. And in this episode, you're going to learn about your audience and in how to make your content count. Well, we're in the throes of hardcourt tennis season, and our guests, Bruthas in Tennis, are hopping between stadiums to be with us today. Now, Bruthas on Tennis delivers entertaining conversation and interviews with some very high-profile tennis matches, players, and trends, and they offer a very fresh look at the game of tennis with colorful commentary on player styles, plus their idiosyncrasies. So I had a rare opportunity as a tennis player myself to meet two of the three brothers of tennis at Indian Wells in California. And I learned about their rapid growth, their engagement with partners, and also their content strategy. So I'm thrilled to introduce you to Bryce Everett, Isaac Golden, and Chester Jones III. Welcome to all of you, and thank you for taking a break from the matches to join us today.
Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you.
Yes. Well, first off, just so that our audience gets to know you a little bit better, can you tell us who's your favorite tennis icon?
For me, for the men, it's Roger Federer, and for the women, Martina Navratilova.
All right. Very, very great.
For me, it's all about Roger Federer and Serena Williams.
Okay, so we've got two for Roger, one for Martina and one for Serena. All right, Chester, what about you?
I'll be the outlier. My favorite men's player would be Rafa.
Okay.
And I'll also say the Williams sisters.
And the Williams sisters too. Just amazing icons, yes. They have just led the way, paved the way for so many people, so definitely. Well, I would love to know, and for you to share, how Bruthas on Tennis got started.
Well, Irene, first of all, Bryce and I have been friends for over 25 years. And we love watching tennis. But, you know, one little thing, we actually love talking about tennis even more.
Okay.
And it just so happens that one day, you know, Bryce and I were having a conversation about a tennis match, and Chester here kind of heard us and said, hey, that was actually kind of interesting, and y'all are kind of funny. So, you know, we figured and determined that other people actually were interested in listening to us as well. So roughly 3 years ago, we started our own organic podcast, and we named it Bruthas on Tennis.
And the interesting thing about all of that is that we really got our start through a sister. I'm assuming that you know who Zena Garrison is.
Absolutely, yes.
Tennis legend. You know, back in the 80s when Venus and Serena were basically just being born, Zena was out there on tour representing for the community.
Yeah, she was.
Winning Olympic gold medals and reaching a career high ranking in singles of number 4. We ran into her at the 2019 US Open, and she saw us. We had our merch on. And she said, Bruthas on Tennis? She kind of beckoned us over and said, we need something like this in tennis.
Right.
And right there on the spot, she volunteered to be our first guest from the professional tennis community. So as a result of that, I think we all looked to Zena as our kind of tennis godmother.
Right.
But she didn't stop just there in terms of being a guest on our show.
Right.
She exposed us to her personal network of professional players and coaches, and that expanded our reach and the number of guests that we were able to bring on our show. Right. So she taught us a very important lesson about our brand very early on. It all starts with community, and it all starts with relationships.
Yes, no, absolutely. One of the concepts that we talk about in Elevate too is about each one teach one. How can we help to extend and to grow together? So I'm glad that godmother Zena was there to help get you started too. Now, one of the things that we would like to understand is, like, who is your audience, and how have you reached them?
I mean, Irene, our name Bruthas on Tennis refers to Bryce and myself as the host,
right,
as well as Chester here, who is our producer. But really, our content is meant to reach the entire community, of the entire tennis community, I should say, because it is a global sport. And we found that we could reach and grow our audience by combining live events and social media. So that was sort of our social strategy, if you will.
Right, right.
And man, when we started, we cast such a wide net over all the different social media platforms. I mean, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. We really, really went hard on all those different platforms because we kind of wanted to see, what was going to work best for us.
Absolutely.
But after we took a look at the data, it really showed up that Instagram was our place to be. I mean, it got us the most activity. It got us the greatest engagement. It allowed us to tag celebrities, tennis players, and also tennis fans, and really cultivate our audience on that platform.
Yeah. Well, and it's important to understand insights in Instagram and to follow and to see. And then also, I like how you decided to test and to see actually which platform works best. Obviously, one of the things we want our community to do is to use the platform that works the best for them and where they can get those followers.
Absolutely.
Sure.
And to give you a very real example, a couple of months ago, we got the opportunity to interview Nick Kyrgios.
The Nick Kyrgios?
The Nick Kyrgios.
Wow.
And for people who don't know who Nick Kyrgios is, he was just in the Wimbledon final against Novak Djokovic.
Yes.
And when we interviewed him and we posted the interview, apparently he liked it because he then posted it on his Instagram site.
Right.
And he has 2.9 million followers.
Right.
So that was a completely new audience for us.
Yes.
And to date, that post for us is, I think, our most successful post with over 10,000 views.
Yeah.
So
incredible.
It was a lesson for us to truly understand that when you can partner with celebrities and other notable people in your field, they can really help expand your audience for you. And though you may not always have the opportunity to get a celebrity to do something like that for you, you can share content and collaborate with other tennis podcasters or whatever your field is to help expand each other's audiences.
Right. I mean, those are some really great nuggets there, Bryce, because a lot of times businesses are unsure of how to grow their followers and to increase their audience and to get greater exposure. And so these are tactics that are definitely effective for small businesses as they want to grow. So now that we understand more about how you're trying to reach your community, the next question that comes up is, well, how are you marketing to them? And as an extension of even of your merchandise.
Absolutely. Well, Irene, the first time that Bryce and I, as well as Chester, were at a professional event, which was the U.S. Open 2019, we had our merch on. And, picture this. You've got this white shirt and these big, bold black letters that say Brothers on Tennis.
Right.
I mean, as you can imagine, people were a little inquisitive. I mean, they were like, what is Brothers on Tennis? And, we got stares. Some people actually took pictures.
Celebrities.
They didn't know what we represented. And it was interesting because even some, because of the nature of tennis, it kind of gave us a little side eye. They were like, wait a minute, hold up, who is this?
Right. And are they making a statement?
Exactly.
Yes.
And honestly, for us, it wasn't that we were making any specific statement, but we were basically just focused on getting our brand out there. We wanted to get noticed. And so we wanted people to, we want people to understand that we are bringing a new, a fresh, a bold perspective to the game of tennis. Our physical presence at events, our voices on podcasts, our perspectives as true tennis fans. So, I mean, Irene, you could say that we are adding a little color to the commentary.
Yes, definitely. Well, I saw that color when I was at Indian Wells and ran into you both too, and definitely you stand out as celebrities. I needed to stand in line practically to speak to the two of you, but your brand does speak for itself, and it just shows how your merchandise can be such an attractive way for others to get to know you. Well, you've been successful at building your audiences online and offline. And you mentioned that Instagram was your preferred platform. So can you talk to us a little bit more about how you use it to connect with your community and how do you build them up through that?
Audience engagement is huge for us. the most important relationship we have is with those people who listen to our podcast or watch us on YouTube.
Right.
And, you know, have you ever posted something like a comment to somebody else or sent them a DM and didn't receive a response?
Yes.
It doesn't always make you feel the greatest. And collectively, we decided from the very start that every person that reached out to us, they would get a response. Not a response from an automated response system, from us.
Yeah.
And so a business may look at that and say, well, that's just good customer service, but we feel like it's connecting to our community.
Yeah, the creation of that value is so important as you think about how you want to be perceived by your community.
Right. So here's a tip to, other
Yes,
entrepreneurs out there.
Yes.
When you maintain a high level of engagement with your audience, whether it's through comments or through DMs, you build loyalty and you build trust.
Yeah.
And most of all, you build a sense of community. But the best way to go about this is really knowing your audience. When you know your audience, you know what's going to hit with them.
Yeah.
You know where they're going to support you. And we want to remind people, keep the social in social media by committing to engaging and interacting with your audience regularly.
Yeah. I mean, that's another one of the monikers we use in Elevate, an acronym KYA, know your audience. But as you've done that, it's important to nurture that community. I know you mentioned about the values of making them feel that they're speaking to someone directly, not an automated response. But how have you been able to engage them through Instagram?
Well, we've actually created our best content on Instagram, believe it or not. I mean, it gives our audience a way to just connect directly with the brothers and spend some time with the brothers, if you will. But I'll tell you a little secret, Irene. When I initially pitched the idea to do a podcast, the brothers were all for it right away.
Okay.
When I suggested that they go on Instagram Live to kind of cultivate the audience a bit more and get them more engaged, they really weren't with it.
No?
They were a little timid to be on video.
Okay.
And when we were at the 2019 US Open where we launched, I was trying to encourage them, guys, go on live. We can, commentate a match here. You can get live responses from the audience and you can engage them directly. They just weren't into it. They weren't seeing it.
Right.
But I'm happy to say, after some time and after they got on the platform, started using Instagram Live, they really, really became pros at it.
Yeah.
And it's really given us a huge boost, and our engagement is off the roof because of Instagram Live. And every Monday they do a show that kind of recaps tennis that has happened the previous week.
Yes.
And the community really, really gets excited for those IG Lives, and it's really, really been working very, very well for us.
Yeah, we definitely look forward to those for sure. But let me just first commend you too, Chester, on encouraging to use lives, because a lot of our small businesses are scared or they're reluctant to use it, thinking that video, you need to be perfect. Everything needs to be perfect on that. So I'm glad that you push it, and especially back in 2019 as a new feature and functionality on Instagram for sure.
Well, let me underscore something he said.
Okay.
I hate being on video. I absolutely hate it. And when he pitched this whole concept to us, it was via a podcast.
Right.
And I said, okay, that works. I have a face for a podcast. It's audio. That's cool. But with the IG Lives, I wasn't very excited about it. But like you said, once we started to see the level of engagement, it was almost like, this is the thing for us.
Yeah.
And every week, I get personal text messages from people that ask, are you guys going to be on live this week? Right. And so that really showed me that this was something that, once again, going back to knowing your audience,
Yes.
these IG Lives were important to them. It gave them the opportunity to engage with us because through chat on an IG Live, we take questions, we respond to them. And, whether we're doing interviews on IG Live or we're having post-show chats, it's really become a staple of what of the content we put out every week.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know what's so great when you do those Instagram lives is it's your authentic self. So many times we're used to seeing things that are produced or overproduced, but when you do something live, it gives people an opportunity to get to know you a little bit more. It becomes more transparent in your personalities. Things aren't as scripted, and so it's really an opportunity for those your followers to want to adhere and follow you even more, right? So I think that's a great opportunity. One of the big questions that we also get though too is, so we've talked about how you've reached your community, how you engage them, but then how do you guys think about the content you want to create for it?
Well, Irene, we've always been guided by our core principle of we want to give visibility and exposure to those that have been, traditionally overlooked by mainstream media.
Right.
And that could be a variety of people. It could be professional players that aren't in the top 50. It could be collegiate players. It could be juniors. It could be community programs. And we wanted to give those types of players and people the exposure that we felt like they really deserved.
Sure.
And another great example, John Wilkins, who you had on in the previous segment, from Spot Sports. He was putting out some great content. And so he wasn't getting attention maybe from some of the broader media markets. So we said, let's get out there and let's help promote him as well. And he's done the same thing for us.
Yeah.
But probably one of the most important things when you're talking about our authenticity is at the core of everything, the three of us are huge tennis fans. Before there was Brothers on Tennis, we were going to tournaments.
Right.
We were keeping up with the scores every day. We were watching, the tennis channel. And now with Brothers on Tennis, we have a place to put all of that energy and all of that information. So whether or not we're breaking news to our audience, and we've had several people say, we heard about this first from you.
Absolutely.
Or if we just see
like Serena going to Wimbledon.
Exactly,
Yes.
Exactly. We try to be on it. Even if it's a funny video that we put out there, we enjoy sharing what we love the most about the sport of tennis.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to commend you on that level of discipline to keep up with things, because to get the breaking news from you guys, but then also the commitment. So even surrounding yourselves, like you said, so they may not be in the top 10, they could be in the top 50 as we see players move up and down the rankings, but then also extending to communities as well.
Well, I have a tip for everyone out there.
Yes, please share it.
The tip is don't be afraid to be creative with your content. I mean, experiment, go beyond your core message and topic and post what really interests you, because your audience just may be interested as well. We like to post things that make us smile, and what makes us happy, whether it's a funny meme or a funny photo, a funny video. For example, all three of us really, really love music.
Right.
From top to bottom. We love rock, we love rap, we love gospel, we love country music. We love the whole gamut on music.
Okay.
And that clearly shows up in our posts and our stories that we put out there on social media. We've even made playlists that have themes for the different Grand Slams.
Yes.
So music plays a big, big part. And I say music has helped us in three different ways. It's added a different level to our content. It's engaged our social media followers in a fresh way. That's number two. And number three, it's extended our reach to other platforms, being music streaming, if you will. So here's the main tip if you're an entrepreneur. Add to your brand what you enjoy the most and what you're most passionate about.
Yeah.
Because you never know, your tribe could dig that as well.
Absolutely. I mean, and that passion comes through because all three of you are always smiling. We can see that happiness and to see that passion in your social media as well, on YouTube and hear it through your podcast. It just helps to accentuate. Music reaches your heart differently. So reaching heart and then reaching minds with content is a beautiful thing. Well, we want to talk next about what will we see from Brothers in Tennis? What can this audience expect? What can your followers expect?
Well, Irene, first and foremost,
Yes.
merch. Got to get the merchandising out there, folks. First of all, we started out just with t-shirts, one little basic cap, and we've expanded our line to polo shirts and tank tops and jackets. I mean, we've got things like, hey, let me pull this up. Hey,
All right.
Hey, we got the coffee
Start
mug.
Start your brew with the Bruthas on tennis.
Start your day with some brothers on tennis. I mean, we've got spiral notebooks. We've got iPhone cases. Just keep expecting very, very cool merch from us, as well as great podcasts and just an overall fun time, because that's kind of what we're about. And and we plan to have more opportunities to monetize our content as well. So just check out the website www.brothersuntennis.com shop page, and you can also look for us on the Instagram page. And by the way, Irene, you look good. Good.
I like
with
that.
the outfit,
Thank you.
But I want to see some merch on you.
Brothers on tennis. Good.
There you go.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Thank you.
Another thing that we're doing, Irene, is that people really enjoy our live coverage of the tennis tournaments. So we're going to try to expand that concept by bringing in what we're calling our BOT family into the mix.
Right.
And having them send us videos or photos if they're live at a tournament.
Yeah.
And we'll loop them in on the content. We'll give them credit, we'll let them post it on their page, and we'll also share it on ours. So it's kind of like we're not just having them consume content, we're bringing them in also to be creators as well along with us.
Co-creators is an extension of what it is that you do.
Absolutely.
Yes, definitely.
And we have a very real example of that.
Okay.
Just a couple of weeks ago, I guess, the Wimbledon Championships ended over there in London, England. And people would ask us, did you guys go to Wimbledon?
Right.
Because it looked like we went to Wimbledon.
It does look like you went. There's a lot of posts up there from Wimbledon.
But we didn't actually. And like Chester is saying, our supporters and our followers, we call them our BOT family. And we had 3 members of the BOT family that were at Wimbledon.
Yeah.
And so they sent us content. We used the collaborator feature and Instagram so that we made sure they got credit for what they sent us.
Sure.
But our audience got an opportunity to experience Wimbledon through us, through other members of the BOT family.
Yes.
So the concept of what UGC, user generated content, we love that.
Yes.
And it allows us to expand broader than what the 3 of us can do individually.
Yeah.
So I'm going to bring up John Wilkins one more time. He was just recently at Roland Garros, and that, previously known as the French Open, and he made a really nice video, and we liked it, and so we put it on our Instagram story.
Right.
And what that does is that gives his content exposure to our audience.
Yes.
And he has done the same thing for us with some of our interviews, and so we're now exposed to his audience.
Right.
So collectively, if you're sharing that type of content and tapping into each other's audiences, it allows both of your networks to grow.
Yes, I love that. It's the concept of continuing to each one teach one. We can grow together as a community. And I love how you've just extended your brand through obviously your merchandise, right, Isaac? But also as you're talking about the BOT family and co-creation, but then also expanding, having your followers play a different role as a follower. Some people want to play different positions on a team, right? And to have some of those followers definitely there at Wimbledon to extend what you do in your coverage is really amazing.
And everything really, comes from the 3 of us each year coming up with a set of goals.
Yeah.
And so just to be transparent, for 2022, we have 3 primary goals. The first one is it's a follower goal. We want to crack that 20,000 number by the end of the year.
20,000. I love the goal.
Exactly.
Love it.
Obviously, it's time to get paid for some of this free content that we're putting out there.
Right.
So we're looking for sponsorship and advertising opportunities. But even as we talk with people like yourself, we're starting to look at what's our rightful place in the metaverse. and how do we leverage that
Keywords,
technology?
yes.
You know,
yes.
so those are our goals for 2022.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think small businesses, it's definitely important to have goals. That's something that you shared and it was top of mind in terms of what you're trying to do and grow your followership. And then, of course, as we think about emerging technologies and the metaverse, so important for us as a community to understand how we can monetize in it. We're still learning so much about what we can do, but I'm just really excited to see what Bruthas on Tennis can do in the metaverse. Well, I just want to say thank you so much, Bryce, Isaac, and Chester, for being here and inspiring us. We're so rooting for your success and those 20,000 followers.
Yes.
And Isaac, I'm waiting for my good T-shirt, GOODDD. Okay. Thank you for taking time out of the hardcore tennis season and watching these exciting matches to see who's actually going to be winning this next championship. Well, you can follow Bruthas on Tennis on Instagram at Bruthas on Tennis, listen to their entertaining podcast, and follow them on YouTube. Now stay tuned for more episodes of Ahead of the Curve rolling out inside the Elevate Hub this year. And remember, we're on the rise together.